You know, when I got married at 29, Barry told me, I thought I knew what I was doing, but a couple of years later, I realized we had nothing in common. It made no sense for us. What made sense at that point was that we got divorced. Hi, I'm Anne Marie Kelly, author, speaker, victory strategist, and the woman who found a new way to do I do. I'm inviting you to be part of this adventure. And today what I'd like to talk with you about is how you create your 5-year marriage. In my last show, I talked about what a 5-year marriage is, that you get married for 5 years at a time, that you create the marriage in advance, figure out what you want to do in that 5-year marriage, and when that time is up, you evaluate, you renegotiate, you end that marriage, and you start a new one. So you get a fresh start every 5 years. And it's a relationship that can be empowering, and it's a good partnership, and it develops trust and intimacy and keeps a little spice in your life. So how do you get something like that started? Well, the first thing you need to do is that you need to have what I call a curiosity conversation. So you would talk with somebody, and you're with somebody that you think might be a good partner, and you want to sit down and have that conversation that says, here's an idea. What do you think of this idea? A woman recently told me she had a curiosity conversation with her spouse, to whom she's been married just about 5 years, and he wouldn't even talk about it. He got really disturbed. She said, I think maybe he was thinking that I was looking to get a divorce, but I just wanted to have the conversation. So the 5-year marriage isn't for everybody. Some people can't even handle it. Some people can't shift that paradigm from the old way that clearly isn't working for most people to a new way that can work better for most people. If you have a curiosity conversation and you're with somebody like that, it's not going to work out because you can't do a 5-year marriage by yourself. So the first thing is that you need to have that curiosity conversation. The second step is that once you and your partner agree, you need to start creating your foundation. And the first thing you would do is now you and your partner have said, yes, we're going to do a 5-year marriage. We're going to just be married for this period of time. The next thing is shared values. Your values drive everything in your life. And if you have shared values, then you're moving in the same direction. Shared values are like lampposts on the street. You know how it is when you walk down the street, if there are no lights, you're not really sure where you are, how close you are to the corner or anything like that. You depend on the lamppost. The lamppost sheds light on what you're doing. Your values do the same thing. So you need to sit down, and what I suggest always to people is sit down and figure out what your actual values are. That's really hard for a lot of people because so many times we're told what we value. You will always make decisions based on your own values. So you figure out what you value, and then you make a list and you share that with your partner. You also make a list of what you value in a relationship. Something like in your regular list, do I value God? Do I value health? Do I value family? And in your relationship values, do I value fidelity? Do I value trust? What are those things that I value in my relationship? So you do the separate list and then you put them together. The thing with values is that they're like a beacon. They shine the light on things that when you're on your path and sometimes things happen and you're not sure where you're going, you go back to the values because they will shine a light on whatever it is that you're doing. They're critically important. You're figuring out your purpose, you're figuring out your values. The next thing you do is you want to figure out goals. In the way that the values are like the lamppost on the street, the goals are the street because they will take you one step in the direction that you want to go. So what are your goals? What do you want to do individually? Do you want to keep working? Do you want to become CEO? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to be a stay-at-home mom? What are the goals that you have for yourself? And then what goals do you have for the relationship? Do I want to buy a house? Do I want to move to another country? So if that's a goal, then you need to be talking about doing that. The next thing, so now you have your purpose. You know what your values are. So these are going to be driving you. You know what the goals are. So then you sit and you say, okay, how can we make this happen? What agreements can we have together that will help us achieve these goals? So this is where you might come with, okay, I'm willing to be the stay-at-home parent while you create this level of success in your workplace. Or I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom and have a side business, have a little side hustle here so that I can bring some money in and you can be the CEO corporate executive. What agreements do we need to make together to make that happen, to make it work for us. So agreements are really important. When you come to all that, you write everything down. My spouse and I keep a journal. So everything's written down. And then we commit to family meetings. Family meetings is an interesting thing. You can have it. Sometimes after 31 years, we still have family meetings. Because our family meetings can be every week. Sometimes things get funky and we need to meet every week. Sometimes things are moving along and we need to meet once a quarter. In the beginning, we met every week for a couple of years because we were in our second marriage, we had the 7-year crash. So when we got to the end of that point, we needed to meet regularly. In the family meeting, you bring your paperwork with you, and I always say take it out of the house. Because if you do it in the house, chances are you can have an argument and somebody can get up and walk away. But if you take it to the local coffee shop or the local bookstore, you are more likely to be polite. You're more likely to sit and iron something out than if you stay at home. So have your family meeting someplace else, take your notebook, and go and start it with what things have we been doing right. It always helps when you start with a little bit of a high five. The next thing is, okay, what hasn't been going so right? In our case, we would look at, here's what I said I would do between the last meeting and now, and I got this, and this done, but I didn't get this done, and I need help with this. Joseph would do the same. Then we move on to, okay, what still needs to be done from the last time that we can put on next time's agenda, and what new stuff has to happen. He may have the same issues, not of the same things, but something else. Like, well, but I'm taking in the trash cans every Friday. They could be something that silly, but when it annoys you and your partner isn't participating with you, it can become a problem. You start resenting and you start getting angry, and then that anger comes out in other things. That's how you get it started. You figure out your purpose, your values, your goals, and what agreements you have together. Those 4 things become the foundation. And then the family meetings are like building on that foundation because every family meeting helps you build a little bit more. There's more details about this in my book, The 5-Year Marriage, Shifting the Marriage Paradigm. And you can get that book on Amazon.com. You can go to my website at 5yearmarriage.com, and you can come back to see the next edition of Not Your Mother's Marriage on the This Is It network. And I'll look forward to seeing you. Jen's on.